When I pick a fan game to review, I always look at a couple of things: the comments under my videos, the friend recommendations within my Twitter or Discord DMs, and most importantly, the internet. A lot of the time, I end up googling what is the best FNAF fan game ever made. No matter what list I look at, nor how deep this rabbit hole I go, one fan game always pops up. LEGO FNAF: The Joy of Creation Story Mode. Thankfully, I never watched anyone actually play this game, so I'll be going into this completely blind. All I know is that its graphics are apparently extremely well made, and its gameplay is absolutely terrifying. The only thing that I exposed myself to was the trailer that looked like it was genuinely made by a AAA studio. Not only did this make me want to play the game even more, but I want to talk about it for you guys. So, will The Joy of Creation live up to the name of the best FNAF fan game ever made?
I created you! Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy? How is this happening? What are you?
I feel fantastic. I want to keep feeling like this forever. And to do that, I need you to die.
Leave us alone! Ugh!
Starting this game off, we see a single door, which is a forgotten memory from within a bedroom. What I already adore about this game is that it takes away the concepts of Five Nights, but instead replaces them with forgotten memories that we slowly remember as the game progresses. Entering this door leads with this cutscene of someone named Scott Cawthon, who seemed to have just bought a house.
This is the story of the night I lost my home, my childhood, and almost my family. When Five Nights at Freddy's just ended.
Alrighty, this is something that will hook us in, giving us amazing voice acting as well as this beautifully designed cinematic, only to get us dropped into another short cutscene.
Michael!
What? I mean, my name. It's Michael. I'm Michael. You asked me that before.
They are at someone's house, completely disoriented, with the family being confused and even scared of them, justifiably so, as this is a complete stranger who they don't know at all, introducing themselves as Michael, which is when they invite him inside.
Hello, Nick? Hey, little Nicky, it's me, Michael. And hey, don't say anything back to me, okay? There are monsters around that'll hear you if you do. Now, don't be scared, Nick, okay? Listen to me, and we can defeat those monsters, all right? Okay, so these monsters might look surreal. Don't look at them too long, or you'll feel weird and see creepy things.
It seems that Michael is taking the form of this game's phone guy, which is something that I absolutely adore, especially since the call is literally coming from a child's walkie-talkie. Here, this is where things get weird. We are currently Scott Cawthon, but as a child, trying to sleep within a crib. Michael is trying to warn us about these monsters that are coming to get us for some reason, giving us multiple warnings as well as how to deal with them. These monsters are the iconic animatronics, except they look a little different. Instead of being completely built, they are all heavily damaged. Each night, we'll have to deal with them in various different ways, but for this bedroom section, it is relatively simple. Freddy will appear in our window, so we need to close the curtains in his face until we hear him leave. Bonnie will be at our door, knocking to let us know when he's here. When that happens, we need to shut off the lights as quick as possible, since he can't really see in the dark. Chica, or how Michael refers to her as, the chicken, will be in a closet, and if she's peeking through, we just need to shut off the lights since she doesn't want to be seen. Foxy will be the monster under our crib, and we will need to hear for the sound of him scraping the bottom of it. And if we see his hook on the back of the bed, we will need to pretend to sleep. When I first heard this phone call and instructions, admittedly, I was kind of overwhelmed since this is the first time playing this game. This is kind of a lot to throw at the player at once. However, I do really enjoy the mechanics since I felt as though they weren't that hard to remember, and really mixed with each other quite well. We can't keep the lights off for Bonnie and Chica since it will affect our sanity level, more on this later, and we can't constantly be at the window keeping the curtains closed since Foxy will sometimes pop up needing us to lay down pretending to sleep. Individually, these are extremely easy to exploit, just keep the lights off or just stay at the curtains, but together it creates a well thought out gameplay loop that wasn't too difficult but at the same time felt extremely terrifying. At this moment, we are a child, a helpless child who cannot fight back, and it really capitalizes on that fact by bringing multiple fears that a child at that age could be feeling. The monster under our bed, the shadow outside the window looking like something is coming in, someone in our closet, and even something walking around in our hallway. These are all things that someone extremely young would go to their parents to tell them they were scared about in the middle of the night. It is such a creative and unique way of creating fear within a game. I've expressed the type of horror games I've enjoyed, but to put it simply, the feeling of being helpless is the strongest element you could put to really cause fear. In the original games and many other FNAF fan games, they decided to do this by creating an office that we can't escape from. Of course, there's FNAF 4 and Candy's 3, which takes the concept of childish fears as well, but it feels that this is a much stronger and much more polished version of those elements. How did it actually feel while playing it though? Well, sound design was an extremely important aspect. We would need to keep our headphones on at all times to hear very important sound cues, like Bonnie banging on the door and Foxy scraping under our bed. Throughout the night, our character would begin to shake more and more violently, which is something Michael warned us about since the more we look at the animatronics and stay in the dark, the more scared we will become. Even hearing our heartbeat getting worse. This is due to our sanity meter that I was mentioning before. When it gets to the red zone, we will begin hallucinating multiple different animatronics like the shadows and most commonly, Golden Freddy. Although they don't actually end your game, they will be extremely distracting, especially on a section so heavily dependent on sound. I just love how the time is on the clock on the dresser behind us, as well as this poster showing the original cast. It's small little details like this that really elevates this section and this game as a whole to a whole different level. As well as almost expressing that our fears of the dark are coming out due to our own personal experiences of seeing these animatronics. When we finally do beat this night, we will see this newspaper. So this game is taking place in our universe, or a universe similar to ours, 2 years after Scott released the original Five Nights at Freddy's game, which is when we make it to this next cutscene.
Well, it's not like he was in any condition to do anything. Did you see his clothes? It's like he came out of a bonfire.
I mean, I could have...
Obviously, being scared that a stranger is in your home sleeping in the next room over to your kids, they decided to stay up all night, having another excuse to watch some TV together before...
I just gotta go make sure one more time nothing's wrong, alright? I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll just stay right here. But don't take too long. You worry too much. What was that?
Which is when we make it to the second memory, the living room. Here, we play as Val Cawthon, the mother of Nick, who is freaking out.
What in God's name is going on here?
It's me, Michael. Look, there's no time to explain. Just know that you are in grave danger. Is Scott there with you?
My husband? No, he isn't. He just went to... What do you mean I'm in danger?
Ma'am, I am very, very sorry. This is all my fault. You need to stay calm. I'll try to help you through this. Just please listen to me very carefully.
What?
So Michael comes back once again as the phone guy, though I'm not exactly sure where he's calling from at this point. What we do know is that these monsters from before that were hunting Nick are now changing targets to go after Val. I honestly expected the bedroom gameplay loop to happen at least one more time before changing, so this threw me off completely. The scariest part about this is probably the TV right in front of us, which gives us the view of Freddy and Foxy. We don't watch them from a camera, but instead from their point of view as they slowly walk towards you. This was much more terrifying than any camera system could ever hope to achieve, seeing how they were actually coming after you by walking and through their own eyes. We could slow them down by pressing pause, but that wouldn't cause them to stop the other from walking at all. This is done so you could have some time when either one is close to your room, since if they both show up at the same time, then you're gonna have a bad night. Foxy comes from the right side with Freddy coming from the left, so once they're close to your room, we simply have to hide behind a door, which is honestly pretty terrifying, seeing how their eyes light up the room scanning to see where you are. Bonnie is at the door behind the couch, which we will need to check to see how close they are by using the keyhole. If he is close, we have to do the same thing by hiding behind those doors as well. Chica is quite different, as they're used to basically stop players from abusing the pause feature. If you keep either Foxy or Freddy paused for some time, you will hear some growling in a direction whichever the animatronics you stopped. If you keep them paused for more than 10 seconds though, Chica will appear in the window and causing the player to become stunned, unable to move for a whole 10 seconds. These 10 seconds can very well mean a game over, since we won't be able to hide from Bonnie, Foxy, nor Freddy in the time frame. Honestly, if this gameplay loop involved just looking at the keyholes of the 3 doors, this section wouldn't have been so effective, but implementing the TV in such a unique way is such a cool mechanic that I never saw any other FNAF fan game ever implement. Nearly every single fan game that I could think of uses some sort of camera feature, and I mean almost every single one. However, none have changed it to be as effective and terrifying as this. Knowing we are unable to stop them from coming into the living room except to hide from them every so often. This section only gets amplified with the lights effects of the animatronic eyes, Foxy and Bonnie's being red and Freddy being blue. I felt as though Foxy's animation of barging in felt much more aggressive, though it could just be the nature of viewing red as a much more angry color. Now, you could be saying that this gameplay loop could get repetitive, and I completely agree. However, the reason why I don't believe it does is 1, how unique and fresh it felt compared to every single FNAF fan game out there, and 2, the fact that the gameplay loop within this game changes throughout each memory that we play through. If the whole game was just hiding behind a door, then yes, I most likely would not have been able to enjoy it just as much. But it actively changes how we play in order to catch us off guard. At 5 AM, things quickly changed. The lights turn red. The animatronics seem to be walking much faster within the halls. Aggression is turned up. We hear the ambience getting louder. This is what the game does so much better than most other fan games, making each moment feel different. It is refreshing. After a while, we will finally be able to beat this night with another newspaper. The Haunted Woods. It seems that there's an increasing number of paranormal sightings within the area. Something probably unimportant to the story. Yeah. We then hear Nick talking as a grown-up again, saying how terrifying that night felt. That is until we hear him screaming, but as a child once more.
Nick? Nick! Fuck. What is happening? This isn't real. This isn't real. I'm just dreaming. None of this is real. God. Freddy? Freddy? What are you doing? What are you, Freddy? No! Oh God! No. What is this? Help! Somebody help! Mel? Nick? Anthony? Sam, where are you? What is going on? What is this? monster slayer.
We are not playing in a perspective of Scott Cawthon himself being attacked by his own creations. Inside of his office, we see these 3 monitors, all of them having static until we view them. Beginning the night, we will talk to ourselves, explaining how to protect ourselves from Freddy. Throughout this section, Scott will continue to talk to themselves again at 1 AM, then 2 AM, and then finally 5 AM. Each time, explaining how to deal with the animatronics as they begin to show up. Now, each of these monitors is hooked up to one of the 3 entrances to the office. This section could be a bit confusing to understand at first, but if we see where Freddy is located, we need to open up the door and use our flashlight at him to make him disappear. Foxy's mechanic is a lot more simple. When he appears on the camera systems, just stare at him for a bit. He's a little camera shy, so he'll scream and then run when he notices you. At 1 AM, Chica will appear. And she is weird as she will have cupcakes start appearing all over the office, which is when we will need to use a flashlight once again on them to make them disappear. They're not in normal places like on a desk, as we will need to get up to start hunting for them within cabinets, closets, and even the outside of the doors. It's weird like I said, but I kind of like the little changes in gameplay to make her actually feel different from Freddy slightly. 2 AM, Bonnie will become active and is the one animatronic we cannot look at. The way to make him go away is by literally ignoring him completely. Do not look at him and do not interact with him at all. Out of all the sections so far, this definitely felt like the one the most inspired by the original game, focusing mostly on watching the camera systems in order to help us defend against the animatronics coming after us. I love the animation of how Freddy backs up when we light him up with the flashlight. It feels so smooth. Everything about this game feels so smooth. From the gameplay and the slow escalation of the night, it's not like we're suddenly thrown into the gameplay loop with all the animatronics active, but instead only have to focus on Freddy and Foxy. Once we get used to dealing with these 2, that's when we have to watch out for Chica, since before we could honestly just sit at the desk and only need to get up to deal with Freddy, but with Chica here, we can't be lazy anymore and must be proactive with our movements. The situation was already stressful, but with the introduction of Bonnie at 2 AM, just raises the stakes to a whole new level, and I feel that within the amazing voice acting.
Broke it! The bastard broke the camera! Damn it! Bonnie just broke one of my cameras. I don't know what happened. He just appeared, and as soon as I realized he was there, he just took it down in one swing. They don't do that! None of them have ever!
What this game feels perfect at is by forcing the player to play by its own rules, instead of trying to exploit one character's mechanics. In other games, there are things that could be easily exploited to make the game much easier, such as a Five Nights at Freddy's 2 game where you will actually never have to put down the camera systems at all. Here, we have to put down the cameras at points if we ever see Bonnie in the system, since they will literally smash it, making us unable to use it for the rest of the night. If he somehow breaks all 3 cameras, we won't be able to use them to find out where Foxy is anymore, instead needing us to listen to where he is, which isn't really reliable, since sometimes he doesn't really make any sounds, so make sure to click away as quickly as possible to avoid Bonnie at all times. I love how this game always creates a mechanic, then a counter mechanic to make sure the original isn't able to be dismissed completely, especially in a way that felt so balanced. Something like that is extremely difficult to do, especially for FNAF fan games, since trying to create new unique mechanics while also trying to have a balance between fun, difficult, and terrifying is something that most just cannot do. Some try to focus on the more difficult elements in order to make something challenging for the player, others may focus on a story to be much more fun for the game theorists within the community, while most try to make their games feel terrifying, usually by a dark atmosphere or just by cheap jump scares. The joy creation so far has exceeded my expectations. These types of games that are usually overhyped to be called the so-called best FNAF fan game ever made usually have a quality or a flaw that is very noticeable, but here, I genuinely believe that this is the most fun and most scared I've ever felt while playing any fan game ever made. I almost hate that I'm playing it, since all future entries that I'll be reviewing will, in the back of my mind, always be compared to this masterpiece. Anyways, once again at 5 AM, things change, as the game's hue becomes red, and when we get another phone call.
I did it! I did it! I finally got him! I knew Freddy had something to do with this. I just burst open the door and aimed at his eyes with my flashlight. He got staggered and left. Everything's all quiet again. The cameras are back to normal. The clocks have started to move as well. 6 a.m. Yes, 6 a.m. I just need to wait for 6 a.m. Just like it's always been. The only clock that's still frozen is the one above the door. It moved slightly at first, but now it's stopped again. Maybe I should keep track of it just in case. I guess this is my final recording then.
The animatronics all become much more aggressive, especially Chica, who for some reason just loves hiding her cupcakes all over the place. But we finally make it to the end of the night. You get the gist now, we get a new newspaper. This one talks about a new FNAF game being cancelled, though the reason isn't explained. Our next cutscene talks about how FNAF became extremely popular worldwide, but for some reason just died out. No one talks about it anymore, which is when we make it to the next cutscene.
Hello? Kids? Are any of you there? I found your note. Daddy's here. You must be really scared, but I'm here. Ah! Why are you doing this to us? Why? Just leave us alone, you monsters! I created you. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy? How is this happening? What are you? You are not them. You're just using their faces. What are you?
Your creation. I'm sorry.
So, we are here, I guess? We are knocked out and enter this room with this camera system that is giving us some cryptic messages. This is a free roam section with the basement door being locked shut. This game did have elements of a free roam game, but we were always enclosed within a tight space, only required to move to open a door or to hide. Here though, the basement is so open with barely any instructions at all. What's weird is that this location seems to change as we walk around. The first change that we see are tables appearing with birthday decorations on them. It's when we notice this furnace that we begin to realize that we need to pick up parts of the animatronics to put them within it in order to burn them for some reason. However, something is here with us, flashing messages, slowly increasing our heartbeat as well, making us even more panicked about this section. To a new player, this place could be confusing, and honestly, it was, but it was easy to figure out what you had to do once you see the furnace can be opened. It seems that this bathroom is also the key to moving forward. If you couldn't understand, each time we complete some sort of task, we need to go back to where we started, which was this bathroom, each time resulting in a changed area and a new task, as well as a number near the monitors counting down. The monitors also do tell us what to do, though like I said, in a much more cryptic way. This part we'll need to find the code which is drawn on the walls right next to us before we get it to open. Don't look away pops up on the screen, which is something we need to use against the new animatronic. When we look away from the endoskeleton, it will try to get closer to us, so we must keep our eyes on it at all times, never to look away at all in order to play it safe. This part did cause me to lose quite a bit, since I understood the general mechanic but not what to do. This new part will once again need to find the code within the drawings scattered across the room. Now, this part is quite silent and slower paced unlike the fast-paced sections previously. However, I do really enjoy that since it really changes how the game feels, making you actually digest everything that's happened so far, only to become more terrified of what could happen next, with the next area being an extremely dark hallway that we probably would have never predicted. All the other areas were semi-normal and followed the basement as a base template. Here, however, we were told not to turn around, which is when we realized that we're being chased by something. Thankfully, if you keep walking forward, you can get away just fine, which is when... My heart dropped when this section came on, as I did not expect the intensity to spike up this much. The red colors getting much brighter, the endoskeletons now becoming much more abundant. Everything was just intense. The fear of knowing that if we somehow mess up, we will get jump scared by something lurking within the dark. This section was horrifying, and when we finally make it to the doors, we hear the same little girl's laughter that has been taunting us all night, with the door disappearing. Only for us to have to walk all the way back into this now empty basement. This is the final phase, showing us a simple desk and a chair. All we need to do is just go up the stairs and leave. This night's newspaper talks about some tricks on your mind or something more sinister. This section used its environment in such a well-designed way that it felt like we were playing a character that genuinely was losing their mind, with how the basement was constantly changing, the messages on screen, the constant laughter that we hear from time to time. This honestly felt like we were playing someone who's being haunted by their own creations. I love it. Was the basement section slower paced? Yes, but it was something that was probably necessary from all the more intense moments. Even then, it had moments like the endoskeletons to make it really feel terrifying, even though realistically, all we were doing is walking in the same exact basement. How the developers thought of using the same area but making it feel fresh and unique each time you re-entered it is beyond me, but it was so perfectly executed. This section right here could have been its own game by itself, and if you just gave me the basement section, I probably would have most likely said this is one of the best indie horror games I ever tried out. Each memory could have been its own individual game, to be honest. Instead, we have this beautifully crafted experience packaged into one long game. Not once did the gameplay ever feel repetitive, not once did I ever want to close out to try something else, and not a single time did I ever feel bored. I was hooked from the start, and at the end of night 4, I was saddened. Not by the events within the game, but instead that this experience was going to end soon. I wanted even more before the game even ended. That is how much I loved playing this game. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on to night 5.
You've prolonged this for too long, Scott. They're barely holding themselves together anymore.
Why? I have been a good man. We've been good people. Why have you demons come to torture me and my family?
I was saying, that we've gone...
Stop ignoring my questions! If I'm going to die, at least I want to know why! Can you at least give me that?
Look, I'm sorry. It's just the way things have to go. It's just a part of life. For us, I mean. Their bodies are hardly keeping themselves together, so they've gathered themselves in the basement. They can't just kill you directly, you know, and I promised them I'd leave you to them. So I brought you here to at least try to talk to you before they arrive. So before they get here and everything burns, I'd like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to see the world through the eyes of your creations. Being Michael Schmidt has been an incredible experience. I mean, I feel fantastic. I want to keep feeling like this forever. And to do that, I need you to die.
Leave us alone! No!
So, this section throws us in with absolutely no explanation at all. In front of us is this camera system of the whole house, with us also being able to look all around us. Now, I did sing this game a ton of praises, quite a bit, but this is the only section where I have to basically criticize, since it doesn't really explain anything to the player of what they need to do. We see this camera system in front of us, which obviously is important, as well as this mechanic to flash. Creation is the name of this new animatronic that will appear all the way in the basement level and will slowly try and make its way up towards the attic, which is where we currently are. Next to the monitor is this lever, which we'll just call the breaker switch, and is what we'll need to use on the camera systems when creation appears on, basically to flash them away. Though we shouldn't be too reckless using it since it does have a recharge time before we could use it once again. With us also getting access to this button which switches the camera systems to the ones within the attic. Looking around us, we see two doors and a trap door. We can close the doors by hitting the switch next to them, though only one door can be closed at one time. If we close one door while the other one is closed, the other one will just automatically open. This red square on the camera system is where creation currently is, which is where he'll try to break the barriers that will stop him from getting closer to you. This section was terrifying with how claustrophobic and open this area felt. It's really weird to explain, especially knowing that this thing is coming after us. He won't always appear on the cameras, so we need to switch every so often until we catch him. This was a mix between tedious and terrifying due to the endoskeletons constantly trying to come after us, as well as creation playing hide and seek within the camera systems. As they get closer to the attic, each room they enter will become set ablaze, slowly spreading its fire all around, burning everything it touches. Although I do appreciate how unique this felt, ultimately it did feel more repetitive and boring than anything else. This was the weakest part of the game for me, which is sad since this is where we're going to be ending things off. The other sections definitely had more elements for me to be scared about, but this was just constant camera switching, which would honestly start to hurt my head after a while. But hey, at least our Golden Freddy plushie looks cool when they start glitching out. And wow, look at these creepy messages every so often. Yay! Golden Freddy also starts appearing within the section, who we also need to flash a certain amount of times before the game ends. But other than that, it's just the same gameplay loop. As the night progresses, the more intense the feelings get, as the attic will start to catch on fire as well. You see, the whole time, we were always on a timer. There's no set clock for this section, at least what I believe. From my understanding, we need to flash creation and Golden Freddy a certain amount of times in order to finish this night before they end up burning the whole entire house. Like I said, this whole section did feel kind of repetitive, but with the fire appearing right behind us, visually causing the room to become brighter as well as having a sound of everything slowly burning down around us, it did cause you to feel stressed out. But after a while, we did it. We beat the game and find one final newspaper. Man found William Afton in his own home. Just a man, not his entire family. Interesting.
Anthony. Where are you?
You really love your family, don't you? You're gonna die here, you know? Survive the night, just wait for 6 a.m. and it will all be over. That's how it worked there before, right? These are not your things. This night won't go away until you've been consumed by the fire.
What about that? If I have to go, then you at least promise me they'll be safe. Promise me that you won't harm them. Please.
Quick thing. That voice actor had his rent due yesterday for screaming like that. Dear lord. I love it so much. Anyways, the final cutscene happened shortly after.
Mommy, Daddy's coming out of the house!
Honey?
Now, I'm here!
Daddy!
Oh, hon, I was so worried.
It's okay, Val. It's okay. We're safe now. Have you called 911?
Yes, I did. As soon as we got out, I called them, like, a few hours ago. They said they'll be here as soon as they can. Oh, God, we stayed inside there for so long. I thought you...
But I didn't. Don't worry. Everybody is fine.
Daddy, what happened to home? Why is it burning? Is Michael still in there?
We are safe, Nick. Murders. You're safe now.
Dad?
What do we do now? Everything's gone.
You are safe now. It's all that matters.
Dad, you're acting weird.
You are safe now. That's all that matters.
Honey, are you okay?
You are safe now. That's all that matters.
Daddy, no!
You are
Oh my
safe.
God, oh my God.
It's all that matters. You are safe. It's all that matters. You are safe now. It's all that matters. You are safe now. That's all that matters. See? They're safe now. Just as you wanted. Thank you for your cooperation, Scott Cawthon. I'll take care of everything from here.
Michael, or whatever this thing is that they invited into the home, most likely wasn't human. What it wanted was to take over Scott's body and live his life for some reason, leading to two theories that I have about the game. The first is that it was a manifestation of Scott's imagination, constantly creating these stories about animatronics, William Afton, and spirits. With so much popularity, those characters within his games became real and began to actually haunt him. They went through so much pain because of Scott's imagination, so they wanted revenge to get back at him. With my second theory is that this is just a regular ghost that used Scott's greatest creations against him and his family, wanting to possess Scott so they could live out as a human. Not sure what the ending is fully about, but what we definitely do know is that the price for creating such a well-known horror series can be immense. Was it truly worth the joy of creation? Now that we sounded somewhat like a conspiracy theorist and maybe a little bit more like a professional channel, let's talk about the animatronic designs. These are called the ignited animatronics and very much take inspiration from the Wither designs. However, I find them to be much more effective. I'll be honest, the Wither designs, except for Bonnie, since that's such a perfect design in my opinion, other than him, the rest were pretty bad in my opinion. With how we know how the ending turned out, fire consuming everything in the end, the name of the ignited animatronics is a pretty fitting one. I'll be comparing these to their withered counterparts, and not just the graphics since that would be unfair due to the joy of creation, making them much more polished. Withered Freddy, in my opinion, was such a complete downgrade from the original design, not even looking like a withered version, but instead like a completely new animatronic. I can't be the only one who thinks that, since just look at them. I understand that they were rebuilt using the withered as a base design, but wow, Ignited Freddy completely shatters him, taking off his arms and making his jaw almost gone. The incomplete look of this makes Freddy look so broken. An actual animatronic that could have been thrown to the back rooms in order to rot away. Withered Chica, in my opinion, is one of the worst designed animatronics. If she's somehow your favorite, you're wrong. Just her design looks ugly, especially the jaws. Ignited Chica though looks absolutely terrifying. Perhaps it's a missing jaw for me, but it doesn't look goofy, but instead like it wants to rip me apart. The empty white eyes staring at you. The handless concept from the original did look weird to me, but this one does it much better. No need for colorful wires, just stumps of what was once there. Like I said, Withered Bonnie is the only Withered design that I actually did enjoy, and I'm not sure how I feel about his Ignited design though. I understand they tried to make it more withered somehow, so they decided to take away his whole torso in order to expose those wires. I think I like it when it's angled a certain way, but surprisingly, it's the weakest design in my opinion. Foxy has the same problem. Withered Foxy was always to me. Not really doing anything cool, as he was just a more broken version of what was the already broken Foxy animatronic that we see in the first game. So with an already weathered design, the Ignited version is just a head. it's just a head with the endoskeleton, I guess. In game, it looks absolutely terrifying, since all we usually look at is the head and its red eyes. But here, looking at the design and its full view, it really is just a head and a hook. It's kind of funny looking at him like this. Creation seems to be a mixture of every single animatronic, which is surprisingly a concept that I see repeated a lot within FNAF fan games. Its design is alright, I guess, as well. Spikes for toe beans, red eyes, and I guess the extra limbs look cool. Yay. Though 3 legs makes him look more funny than anything else, I just couldn't get that invested within the design at all, no matter how much I tried. It just feels like a more grotesque version of Nightmare from FNAF 4. Probably what's even inspired by it in the first place. Now, the animatronic designs when looking at the models could be wonky, though I did enjoy most of them. In game, however, we don't really look at them completely and instead are only looking parts of them in the dark. All in all, pretty solid designs for what they were trying to portray. So how did I actually feel about this game? Was it overhyped? Honestly, no. Each section was split up into these memories that we played through, with all of them having different gameplay loops. Each time there was a gameplay mechanic introduced, there was almost always something to complement it so it wouldn't feel bland. The only section I did not enjoy gameplay wise was probably the final memory, which was the attic, though I could give it a pass since it definitely did bring the element of fear within its atmosphere, as the whole house was slowly being set on fire with us having nothing to do to really stop it completely. Only to slow it down. Even then, I still wanted more of the gameplay. The entire experience was something I wish I could play through once again with a fresh mind. Using some sort of magic ray gun to make me forget all my memories of this game in order to play it for the first time all over again. That is not to say it doesn't have any replayability, not at all. Each memory, like I said, could be its very own game due to how amazingly crafted they were. I wouldn't even be surprised if you took the first 3 memories of the bedroom, living room, and office and just extended them. Gameplay was 9 out of 10, with the only issue that I really had being the final night, and even then, I did enjoy it. Graphics were also amazing as well. Not only were the graphics beautiful, they actually did something with the graphics, showing these animatronics off constantly, as well as creating gameplay elements to complement that style. The story was pretty cool as well, to use Scott himself as inspiration, though kind of weird as well thinking about it. The concept of having the creator of FNAF being haunted by its own creations is something truly terrifying since it was based on reality. Sorta, not like the ghost aspects coming to life or something like that. not at all. Scott Cawthon himself has stated that during game development, he did have nightmares about Bonnie, of all people. I would have guessed Foxy or even Freddy, but okay. Spooky robot bunnies for the win, I guess. Story was an 8 out of 10, but mostly because I am slow and probably didn't understand the ending completely. Someone please explain in the comments down below what I'm missing. Thank you. Point being, I absolutely love this game and most likely will never be able to find anything that will ever compete with it. This game lives up to its hype and you need to play it now. The only real problem with it is that you will, for some reason, I really don't understand why, but you'll need to shut off your Wi-Fi from your computer in order to play the game. Why? I really couldn't tell you, but this really wasn't an issue if only I wasn't trying to stream it, only to embarrass myself in front of 20 whole people. So basically, shut off your Wi-Fi, turn on the game, and have a blast playing one of, if not the very best, FNAF fan game ever made. If you like this video, like and subscribe, comment something down below too. How did you feel about the game if you played it? Anyways, I've been talking for an extremely long time, so I'm going to go take a nap. Peace. Thank you for all the fan art that you've been sending me. I'll be leaving their socials down below in the description. I really love you all. Thank you once again. And another special thank you to Lenny Greatness, X-Fled, Nightmare, Martinez, Brian Strix, Athena, Ori, Forge Skin Eater, and Get Ducked for becoming members to support the channel. I will read out every single member every time at the end of every video. Once again, thank you.